Hi, Dean Braun. I'm Daniel, and I'm a rising junior, and I'm in student government. I just was re-accepted to be the Lubin president candidate for student government for this coming fall and spring, and I'm on a couple e-boards of the Community Garden and also of Informs, and I'm super excited to be interviewing you today.
Great to see you, Daniel. Thanks.
York and Galperin, and I am vice president of the Lubin School of Business student government, and I'm excited to be here.
Good to see you, Jordan.
Hi, Dean Braun. I'm Nicole. I am the current and incoming SGA president on the New York City campus, and I'm so excited to be here with everyone today.
Good to see you. See you a lot, Nicole, a lot of committees.
And hello, Dean Braun. My name is Bestman. I'm a senior marketing major, and I am the SGA president on the Pleasantville campus.
I know who you are. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
All right, so all these introductions being said, I guess the first question we'd like to ask you today, Dean Braun, is do you have any wisdom or assistance to share as the PACE community has had to transition to online classes due to the current pandemic we're facing?
Well, wisdom, I'll let you be the judge of how much wisdom it is, but I did do a video. I don't know if you saw the video that we posted on social media where I basically posed 3 questions that I thought students should be thinking about. I think that was good advice, thinking about what did you have to manage during this period, because whatever management chops you exercised, they'll be useful later to be able to talk about. What did you learn? Because it's a great opportunity to expand your capacity, skill capacity, or your hobbies, or whatever else to learn. And third, what did you contribute? You know, what did you come up with that you could do that could be helpful to others? I mean, I think if you have answers to those questions, I think it's a good thing to be able to talk about coming out of the pandemic as students who are either interviewing for internships or for jobs, to be able to talk about what they managed, what they learned, and what they contributed. Look, it's a difficult time, and you can either focus on the negative and the stress it causes and the uncertainty, and all of that's really tough. But there's a lot of old sayings that say that are about crisis and opportunity being born at the same time. And frankly, as you're probably aware, maybe aware, this is my last semester as dean, and I'm not retiring. I may be retiring from being dean, but I'm working on a startup. And you might think like a startup now, but it's a video streaming app, and it's about health and wellness. So it's the fastest growing segment of media. We're streaming together now, and it's going to be about health and wellness, which is on everybody's mind. So there's a clear need and a clear opportunity there for somebody to capitalize on. So I would really encourage students to think about what are the needs that are going to grow out of this? What are the changes? What are the opportunities? In a way, it could be a huge advantage for PACE students because it's kind of level setting. I mean, everybody's in the same boat. And now, getting a degree from, an elite Ivy League school instead of a school like PACE, I think it's less of an advantage. I think it's less meaningful. I think what'll be more meaningful are those people who are the doers, who are the problem solvers, who can figure out how to take advantage of huge changes in what's going on in the world and behaviors and economy, and say, okay, I see an opportunity, I'm going to make it, or just to decide what segment of the economy you want to seek a job in, figure out which ones are likely to grow. So I guess the wisdom is try and focus on the opportunity instead of the negative.
I think that's some great advice, just giving that being at PACE, like the motto is opportunitas. So that's something that I think we should all really hold true at this moment in time. But like you said, it is your last semester as dean. We would like to know, what are some of your greatest memories being at PACE?
I get the moments that have been really most memorable are when I get to see students sort of outside the classroom, either leading a student organization, competing in an academic competition, running a student business on the Pleasantville campus. When I get to see students actually taking what they're learning and trying to apply it in new circumstances, sticking their neck out a little bit and taking some risk. And the ad team, I love watching the ad team perform. I love when Dr. Ray runs the analytics competitions. Anytime a student is kind of putting themselves out front and saying, okay, I'm gonna take a shot at this. I'm gonna see how good I can be at this. Almost always, the students who do that are really impressive. And when I see that, I always think to myself, okay, there's some good stuff happening at Lubin, because look what these students are capable of doing. I'll mention the ad team a second time, because we have the ad team on both campuses. The brand management teams. They used to be, but that's a very cool thing where I think if somebody from the outside walked in on those presentations and saw our students presenting to the judges, they would think it's a real pitch from a real ad agency. It's that buttoned up, it's that polished, it's that professional, it's that well thought through. And you don't get that at a lot of places. So when I see students performing at that level, I really feel excited about what PACE is all about and what Lubin specifically is all about. So those are the memorable moments. And then there's the touching moments. I have a lot of students, not a lot of students, actually. I've always tried to have an open door policy, and some of you have taken me up on that. I love meeting with students. It's really one of my favorite things. And the students who've taken me up on it and really, now that a lot of young alumni, I've been here 10 years, and now everybody who was a student while I've been a dean, they're alums. And so, but a handful of them have become really, really close friends of mine, people I stay in touch with on a regular basis, people we really, it's way beyond dean student, it's real friends. And so in terms of, I don't know that I have the memorable moments with them, but for them, for me, I won't have to, it won't be a memory, because they will stay, we'll stay in each other's lives for as long as I'm around. So
that was really sweet.
It's true.
Dean, we have another question.
Okay.
What advice or wisdom would you like to share as you depart from your role as Dean of the Lubin School of Business?
Pretty much the same thing I always talk to students about when they're in my office. Or you may have heard me say, because I often say when I meet with freshman groups, I'll often say to the freshmen, how many of you have been given the advice to pursue your passion? A lot of people will raise their hand. And I like to kind of jolt them by saying, I think that was bad advice, because you haven't earned the right to pursue your passion yet. Pursuing your passion is something you can do down the line, but first you need to pursue excellence, because the way you get the opportunity to pursue your passion is by demonstrating that you can be excellent at something. Because if you're excellent, implicit in that is you've worked hard, you've focused, you're capable. It says so much about you that you've demonstrated excellence at anything, that people are willing to engage you about doing other things, because they assume that if you can be excellent at one thing, you have the character and the integrity and the innate intellect to be excellent at other things. And I really think of all the things I've ever told a student, that's the most important advice I can give to people. I know, looking back on my career, I didn't actually get that advice. This is something I've come to over time, but I've done a lot of different things in my career. And the reason I always got that next opportunity was because I demonstrated a level of excellence at the preceding things, so that people were willing to make a bet on me. And so I think building that narrative of excellence is important. The other thing I would say that students often don't understand about their own lives, actually, I think more often than not, what I talk to students about in my office is I help them connect the dots of what they've done in their past to what they want to do, because sometimes they don't see the connection. It's not infrequent that I think a very common blind spot is that students think about the content area they were in, and if that content area isn't the content area they want to be in, they don't think it's relevant. It's easier to explain in examples. I had a student I often ask a student, tell me something about yourself that's not on your resume. And one student told me that that he does stand-up comedy on the weekends for 3 years. And I said, well, why isn't that on your resume? And he said, well, I'm looking for a marketing job. And I said, yeah, but as a stand-up comedian, you write your own material, so you're observing the world and writing about it. You're standing up in front of audiences and presenting. And I'm sure you bomb sometimes, but you get up and do it again, right? And he said, yeah. I said, well, that's all about marketing. Observing and writing and standing up and presenting and not letting a turn down put you off and coming back and being resilient. So, I can almost see a light bulb go on, it's almost like a cartoon. You almost see the light bulb go on over their head. And I had the woman who explained that she was a black belt in karate, and that wasn't on her resume. And I said, well, it tells me you pursue excellence. You pursue things to a level of excellence. And it tells me you have a strong will. And it tells me a lot more about you as a person than what's on your resume. And so I think the important, wisdom in that is use the things you've done to demonstrate who you are as a person rather than be lost in the specifics of the activity. It can demonstrate that you're a doer, that you're reliable, that you're all those kinds of things. I don't know how many of you have seen the slide that's on my desk that says 10 things that take no talent. If you came to my office, I showed it to you for sure. And it's all about being a certain kind of person. It's a decision to show up early, to get things done on time, get them done right, raise your hand when something new needs to be done. Being that person that develops the reputation of being a go-to person. Now, all of you are student leaders, so you kind of get that, I assume. You're sort of doing that. But I think that is a really important part of what gives people success. I mean, yes, you have to get a certain amount of subject matter expertise. You have to get certain knowledge, but you can get that along the way. But the way you get the opportunity to learn things is by being the kind of person that people want on their team. They want those accountable, reliable, get it done people on their team. So developing a reputation as a go-to person, as a person who will get it done, that people compete for to have on their teams, that's the key to success.
Sounds good. Thank you. That was a very great connection.
Yes, it was. And the next question will be, what do you believe makes Pace University a special and unique place to study business?
Well, one of the things there's a few things. One of the things I think is great about Lubin is, a lot of business schools the culture is dominated by the graduate school. And it tends to be a lot more cutthroat and competitive. I think the culture in the business school at Pace is really dominated by the undergraduates because we have so many more undergraduates than graduate students. And it tends to be a much more collaborative, collegial, mutual rooting society. I think we genuinely, as a culture, root for each other's success. And we're actually genuinely happy to see our classmates, our students succeed. And that's not true at a lot of business schools. So I think that's a really great thing about our school. The other thing that I think I really admire about our alumni, and it's just as true of our current students. The vast majority of our students and our alumni did not and do not come from a great affluence or place of privilege. And so everybody is really bootstrapping their lives. I really admire how people are taking advantage of the opportunity for self-improvement, for self-enhancement, for figuring out a lane that they can be successful in, for not accepting the idea that they're average. But the overall culture of our alumni and our students is not that. It's very much taking advantage of the opportunity. It's great work ethic. It's being self-made people. And I really admire our alumni and our student body who have had to overcome more issues in order to achieve. And I think it's heroic. I really do.
Thank you for your response. We have one last question for you. How has your experience working with the students and faculty of Pace University impacted you?
So I've done a lot of different things in my career. Pace is actually my being dean is my 13th job. So I'm a millennial. I may not look it, but I have a career path much more like a millennial than a baby boomer. And I really am glad I did all the things I did. They all gave me something. I learned a ton. I couldn't be the dean I am without having done all those things. So they were great, but none of them ever felt like a calling. They never felt emotionally satisfying. They never felt really important. I had important titles. People were impressed by my titles, but I wouldn't say that I felt that what I was doing was really important. I mean, being president of the NBC Television Network is a great title. I mean, I always say it made my mom happy, she could tell her friends, but, and it was fun. I mean, I got to go to the Super Bowl and the Olympics, and I got to do lots of cool things. And when I was in the film business, I went to the Cannes Film Festival. I mean, it was all great. Believe me, I don't want to be dismissive of any of it. It was great, but it didn't feel like important. It didn't feel like, really, is this what my life's about? Is this how I want to spend my life? Is this the contribution I'm going to make? Is I'm going to be one of the guys in that line that had that title at one point in time? And being dean feels different. It's why I wanted to be dean. I kind of thought it would feel different because I think being in the lives of people your age, I think it's such an interesting time of life because you're really beginning to define your adult self. You're emerging from being your primary identity being the child of your parents, and you're more and more separate and individualized and making choices. And I think it's just it's a big inflection point in a person's life to be college age or graduate school age. And I think for those students who've invited me into their life, to be part of their life, and to spend time with me like this, to want to hear what I have to say about what I've learned, I think it's it gives me that sense of meaning and satisfaction that all those other jobs with cool titles and perks really didn't give me. So from an impact point of view, job satisfaction beyond anything I've ever experienced. And it's given me those relationships I've talked about. It's very few people, but there are a few people I consider now, they're young alums. I consider them among my closest friends. That's a real gift. I mean, how else could I have, really close friends in their 20s, So it's really kind of cool. And they're almost like extended family to me.
All right. Well, we cannot thank you enough, Dean Braun, for taking time out of your busy day. It was great having this conversation with you and getting your input on these questions that we had for you. We really cannot thank you enough for all the work you've done as Dean of the Lubin School for the past, 10 years, And we wish you all the luck with you in the future, and we can't thank you enough for being our amazing dean.
Yeah, well, thank you all. I mean, like I said, it really is, 10 years is longer than I've ever done anything, other than be married. And the only reason, and it can be very frustrating working in an academic environment when you're a corporate type, because there's shared governance, so all that's very different. Things take a lot longer to get approvals. You have to go through a lot more steps. I can't give bonuses or stock options. I can't fire people. I don't have all the normal levers of leadership and management that you have. So it's a different kind of leadership. So it's been interesting. But the thing that's really motivated me the most is being able to have conversations like this with students. Because I've really felt appreciated and I've really felt listened to. And at 67, that's pretty much all you want, is people to pay attention to you. So thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you. Be well, stay safe. Thanks a lot.